So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video guys, we have some custom tactics and player instructions, one of the best attacking formations in eafc 24, this being the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. Now just before we get started guys, I would always appreciate if you could drop this video a thumbs up as it does really help me out with YouTube's algorithm. Also sub to the channel so you never miss out on any of these videos. And with all that aside guys, let's get started. If you guys want coins for FC24, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema, you can get yourself a lovely 5% discount. Alright then guys, so starting off with the tactics for this formation, the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. For the defensive style, I like to have this on balanced. Now, the reason we have this on balanced is because it does give you the best control over your defenders. So when you want to be aggressive, you are able to do that, and then when you want to be a little bit more passive, you can also do that. So it does give you the control, which I think is very important. That being said, if you do feel more comfortable using pressure tactics, that is also fine. Now moving on to the width guys, I just have this on 41. The reason for this is we don't want our defensive line or defense to be too wide because it leaves way too many gaps in the middle of the pitch, meaning your opponent can just run right through you. It's even easier for them to do that with the controlled sprint mechanic, so you want to make sure your defense is nice and compact. We also don't want it to be too narrow, however, because sometimes your opponent will still go for one of those attacks down the wing, so it is important to cover the wider areas as well in case they do go down that route. Now moving on to the depth guys, I have this on 47. Basically anything over 45 I would say is good because you get like this automatic pressure on the new gen consoles and the new gen versions of the game. So anything over 45 will help you out a lot because that automatic press is actually very overpowered. So I really enjoy this depth. You guys can change that if you would prefer. Now moving on to build-up play guys, I have this on balanced. This is because I find balanced to be the most controlled, varied form of build-up. When you have this on balanced, you can pick and choose when and where you use each form of build-up. So if you want to play a bit slower, you can do that. If you want to speed up and play quickly, you can also do that. So it does give you the control and the variety which the other settings do not give you. Now moving on to chance creation guys, I think it's very important to have this on direct passing. The reason direct passing is so important is because it makes your attackers move in the correct ways. On other settings they don't make as many dynamic runs and they don't really cause problems for the opposition's defense. Players with this tactic will also back up against the opposition, meaning it's very easy to isolate a specific player and take him on in a 1v1, which is very effective. So direct passing, super important in my opinion. Now moving on to the attacking width guys, because this is a narrow formation, we don't want to have a crazy high width in attack because it makes the formation something it's not. We don't want it to be super wide, we want to keep it nice and narrow so we can play nice short little intricate passes between all of the players on our team, which is why this width works very well for me. For players in box I have this on 4, this is so we can get a couple players into the box to finish off those chances, but we don't overcommit everyone to the point where we're always getting counter-attacked if we lose the ball. As for corners and free kicks guys, I have these both on 1 because I don't really cross the ball from set pieces, so yeah, it's completely up to you what you do with this however. Now looking at the types of players you can use in this formation, what I like to do in the 2 striker positions is go for a balance between the 2. So I have a more clinical finisher in Darwin Nunez, someone that doesn't have the craziest of dribbling but is someone that will always finish off those chances and be like the more clinical player. And then in the other striker position I go for somebody that's a bit more creative, which maybe has like lower shooting but offers more offers more in variety. Basically they can do a bit of everything and it kind of helps make your attack a bit more fluid, a bit more dynamic, because if you just go for 2 out and out strikers all the time, you can actually be very one-dimensional and struggle in attack as a result. But that being said, use whoever you want in the striker positions. Now moving on to the cam guys, again, you can pretty much use whoever you want to in the cam role. I like to use somebody that is nice and agile, has good pace. I'm using Mudrick because I'm currently evolving him and he does have that quick step play style, which means he's able to weave in and out of those little tight gaps and he's able to work a lot of angles, which is why I do like him in this position. But you can pretty much use anybody that you feel comfortable with in this cam role. For the two centre mids, guys, you can go for like a defensive midfielder if you want to, or you can go for a more attacking one, which I've done with James Maddison. I kind of like to go for a balance. So I've got Conor Gallagher, who's a bit more well-rounded, and then we've got James Maddison, who is more attacking. That's just something I like to do, but again, you have that freedom. For the CDM, it is important to use somebody that is defensive, somebody with that medium-high work rate, so that they defend it in the correct way and they don't push up too far up the pitch. Just make sure your CDM is a nice defensive midfielder. As for the two fullbacks, guys, you have a bit of a choice here. You can go for two attacking fullbacks if you want to be super aggressive, two super defensive fullbacks if that makes you feel more comfortable, or you could go for a balance between the two where you have one more attacking fullback and one more defensive fullback. Doesn't really matter. As for the centre backs and the keeper, this is down to who you like, but obviously if you can get them as meta as possible, that is preferred. Now moving on to the player instructions. On this game, I don't actually like to use too many player instructions because I don't like restricting the players all that much. I only put the instructions on that I feel are absolutely necessary to make my team play the way I want to. So starting off with the two strikers, guys, I just have them on the stay central instruction. Now the reason we have them on the stay central instruction is because since they are our strikers, we don't want them drifting off into those wider areas. We do want them to maintain those central positions where the striker should be. That is the only instruction I have on them. I don't even put one of them on getting behind because I don't just want to restrict them to making that same one-dimensional run all the time. I like them to have that freedom. I like them to be able to do a bit of everything. It makes your attack a lot more dynamic. Now moving on to the cam, guys, I don't actually touch this player at all, kind of like what I said for like a minute ago where I said I don't like to restrict them all that much. It's most important with the cam in my opinion, because if you restrict the cam, they're not going to be able to be as creative as they could be if they had more freedom. So if you leave them on the default settings, you're not restricting them and you're not limiting what they can do, which means they have more of an influence on the game, which is why I do like to just leave them alone. Now for one of these centre mids, guys, if you struggle defensively, what you can do is on your more defensive minded centre mid, put him on stay back while attacking and cover centre. So this way we always have at least one of the centre mids back to help us defensively, but I kind of just leave him on balanced attack because I'm okay with defending and it doesn't bother me too much. The most important instruction, however, is cover centre, so they always defend those central positions. For the other centre mid, I also have him on balanced attack and cover centre. For the same reason as the left centre mid, I want him to get involved. I'm pretty comfortable with defending. The only important thing is that we have him on cover centre. If you're struggling a bit defensively, you can put one of them on stay back like I said, or you can even put them both on stay back while attacking if that makes it even easier for you, but I just have them both on balanced. Now moving on to the CDM, guys, we have him on stay back while attacking and cover centre. It's very important to have him on stay back because we always need at least one defensive minded midfielder in our team, otherwise there is a clear imbalance and it is not good. So make sure you have at least one on stay back while attacking, the CDM on stay back while attacking, so you're as defensively sound as possible. We also have him on cover centre for the same reasons as the centre mids. For one of the fullbacks, I have him on balanced attack and overlap. This is to give me a bit of width when I am attacking. This is something I like to do because this formation is obviously very narrow and sometimes we want that wider option. So balanced attack and overlap means he's going to make the overlapping runs to add extra width to our attack. And then for the other fullback, I have him on stay back and overlap. So we always have at least 3 defenders back at a time, but when we send him on the run forward, he'll make the overlapping runs. If you are struggling defensively, you can put them both on stay back while attacking, or similarly, if you want to be aggressive, you can put them both on balanced attack. It is completely up to you. As for the two centre-backs and the goalkeeper, guys, these are on the default settings and I do not touch them. But yeah, they are my custom tactics and player instructions for the 4-1-2-1-2. If you have enjoyed or found this useful, please be sure to drop this a like, sub to the channel if you are new, and don't forget to turn on notifications. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.